Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's been about a month since we watched a Grimm Gay game. Grimm Guy. Not Grimm Gay. Grimm Guy. You know what? That's too good. I'm gonna keep that in. It's been a month since we watched a Grimm Guy game. Grimm Gay. So I thought it was about time that we watched another one. In case you're new to this channel, Grimm Guy is like one of the most infamous alts on Advanced Wars by Web. He is an account that only plays Grimm 132 games. He's able to reach an absolutely monstrous 1413 rating, which is insane. And his opponent today is no slouch either. Panas, almost 1500 MMR, and playing a CO that is one tier above. The matchup of today is going to be Rachel versus Grimm. I have covered this matchup before, but it is always an interesting one. Of course, with only one tier difference, it's not that crazy, but then again, you have to keep in mind that Panas is 1500. So it is actually pretty crazy. Playing a tier below your opponent when you're facing off against a borderline 1500 MMR player is absolutely ridiculous. Now, Grimm, of course, hailed as a really bad CO, but man, that firepower is juicy. When he pops his Haymaker, if he has a comm tower, he can get up to 100% firepower increase. There are very few other COs in the game that can reach the damage values that Grimm can. There is no walling against this kind of firepower. And if he's able to draw you into this like kind of perpetual elongator brawl, where kind of he just gets a bunch of first strikes on you, you can very easily find yourself just being pulverized. So, but of course, Rachel is pretty scary too with her missiles, bringing down 3 of those scary 3 HP damage missiles, punching a hole in your walls, and really making Grimm Guy's frail units even more frail than they already are. The map that they're playing on today is called Kenergy. It's a Global League standard map. Has a bit of a mixed base element. Well, not a really mixed base, but the bases are very far apart. It's a 2-base map, which of course is very strong for Rachel. In case you don't know, Rachel likes 2-base maps because there's less infantry to draw her missiles. So it's a strong Rachel map too, which, you know, makes this game even more insane. But the army's kind of split in half here. They can converge in the middle, of course, but look at this incredibly tricky reinforcements path right here. You have to go through 2 forest tiles. I don't like it when maps do this, if I'm going to be completely honest, but I think they have to if the bases are too close apart. They have to like put some forest tiles down to slow tanks, otherwise it's just going to be like tanks are just going to hit each other as soon as they come out kind of thing. You can also, of course, go around here if you want. There's airports, which is good for Grimm. Grimm battlecopters are insanely good. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy game, guys. Trust me when I say this, even by Grimm Guy standards, this one's going to be pretty extreme. So I say we just get started. So we got Panas up in the red trunks here, playing as Rachel. Grimm Guy in his trademark yellow trunks, playing, of course, that's the one and only Grimm. Capture phase is going to start here. Nothing too insane. There are no neutral bases to capture on this 2-base map. Both players are going to go for their airports pretty quickly. Grimm Guy's going to move out, capture these 2 properties right here. Panas going to do the same thing. Of course, there are pretty exposed comm towers in the center, so Grimm is going to be able to reach that insane 40% passive firepower boost, at which point it allows him to do a lot of funky wall-breaking things. It's almost impossible to guard against Grimm once he has a couple comm towers under his belt. So both players are going to grab their airports, nothing crazy here. Grimm Guy opens up a tank on his left side. Panas has already spawned with a tank of his own. So both those tanks are going to somewhat cancel each other out. One thing that I always find very nasty when playing against Grimm is that even if you place your tank on a city, like right here, he will still punch a hole in you. If he has a comm tower, it's even worse. So you can see that like cities offer very little defense. If he happens to get his power, you're toast. Superpower, you're absolutely toast. So you can't really defend against Grimm that well. Of course, he has the same issues against you, so it's not like it's an exclusively Grimm Guy thing, but just something that's a little bit annoying when playing against a high-level Grimm player that I notice you can't really guard against him. You have to outmaneuver him. If you're playing against a very skilled player, that can be very hard to do. So day 7 rolls in here. We already have a battlecopter coming out from Grimm Guy. Grimm Guy now moving his tank over to the right-hand side, actually. He's going to rely on this battlecopter, I think, to protect his infantry, going for the comm tower. Battlecopter comes in, another Battlecopter. Grimm guy loves his Battlecopters. One of the things that he loves to do is to spam Battlecopters and then target fire his opponent's anti-air. And then use the remaining Battlecopters to just wreak havoc. In case you don't know how scary a Grimm Battlecopter is, let me just show you some calcs right here. Just look at this. Look at how much. If that thing is caught on the open, it is completely dead. Medium tank, it does not matter. Superpower, that medium tank is dead. The Neo Tank 2 even takes a crazy amount of damage. Grimm Battlecopters are very, very scary. They deal a tremendous amount of damage. So, we got an anti-air coming out from Panas here on the left-hand side. He's moving out with his tank. Another tank on the right-hand side. Grimm guy, of course, is remarkably patient. He's not, like, you'd think a Grimm player would be aggressive, but Grimm guy is actually rather defensive until he sees an opportunity to strike, and then he will strike, and he will kind of lock you into this brawl that never ends, where his units just continuously come out and punch yours faster than you can punch him. It's kind of like again, I've seen this allegory used before. Like he's like an old boxer, you know. He's mostly on the defense because his stamina isn't all that great. But once the hand starts getting thrown, he'll just wear you down. A bit of a funny metaphor. So anyway, as you can see, Grimm guy playing remarkably defensive. He's not really like charging forward. He's just keeping his units out of range. Just kind of situating his units in such a way that Panas can't really get a good engagement here. A little bit of skirmishing happening out here on the flanks, but nothing crazy so far. Panas has to move his anti-air back. He really needs to keep this anti-air alive because, as you can see, Grimm has 3 Battlecopters, and in fact, I think Panas is being a little bit cheeky, not building a second anti-air here. I mean, you got 1 anti-air and 3 Grimm Battlecopters staring you down. Sure, he has 3 Battlecopters of his own, but personally, I think against when the Grimm player starts spamming Battlecopters, you have to start spamming anti-air, otherwise you are toast. Because he will use his high firepower to punch a hole in your wall and target fire your anti-air, and at that point, you are just toast. There's nothing. If Grimm Battlecopters are left standing after your anti-air is gone, you are going to die so quickly to their firepower. It's absolutely crazy. So once again, Grimm guy just moving slowly forward, not really initiating any battles, just kind of quietly. But he is applying pressure by capturing his opponent's city. So if Panas wants to interrupt this, he's going to have to sacrifice some infantry for it. And he will kind of be lured into Grimm guy's brawling range once again. That's exactly what happens. Excuse me as I take a sip of my iced coffee here. So, Panas is now kind of being forced into a brawl with Grimm guy that he really doesn't want to initiate. Of course, Panas's Rachel has a very simple victory condition. He wants to he doesn't want to like commit to any massive brawls. He just wants to slowly build up power so he can call down his missiles. And once he calls down his missiles, that's when he wants to charge. So once again, Grimm guy's kind of just applying pressure to the city using his Battlecopter. So if Panas wants to attack here, he'll run straight into an anti-air. And look, this tank is so crippled by these 2 wood tiles right here. Grimm guy utilizing his terrain very well. And is he going to interrupt the city at 709? I think he might just let it. Yeah, he's just going to let his opponent take it. So they're just going to trade cities in the center here. Panas does take the engagement, though. And, yeah, Grimm guy, okay, just sacrificing a Battlecopter for a Battlecopter. Slowly building up that covering fire charge. Oh, Grimm guy's actually going to lose some infantry on the flank here, so he needs to be careful. Day 12 rolls in, Grimm guy takes the city, takes out the tank and the Battlecopter, and now he's applying a lot of pressure to this weak side base here. Panas, meanwhile, doesn't really have the same amount of pressure on Grimm guy's side, so this base could fall if Panas is not careful, but of course, covering fire is right around the corner. Panas just needs to hold out a little longer. Once that covering fire comes down, it will give him an excellent opportunity to strike against Grimm. We'll see what Grimm guy does now. Takes a couple shots, and yeah, he's just going to pull back. This is typical Grimm guy right here. If an engagement is not favorable for him, he will just pull back. He knows the covering fire is right around the corner. He doesn't want to run into it. But Panas now seems to have a bit of a confidence boost as he moves forward. He's like, "Ooh, Grimm Guy's retreating, I'm gonna advance." So it looks like he's able to save the attack on the base. So both players really just poking and prodding. No one really committing to any giant brawls yet. But as you know, if you watched any Grimm Guy video, you know that is about to end very soon. It's day 15 rolls in right here. Panas seems to want to go for it. Covering fire very close to being done right now. 38k. Not going to commit quite yet. But he's inviting Grimm Guy to brawl a little bit with him. Just enough so that he can get his power. But Grimm Guy is saying, no, I will not do that. I will not brawl with you. I will just pull back. Defensive, as always. Day 16 rolls in. Grimm Guy now has quite the income advantage. 20k to 17k. This means that it's up to Panas to make something happen. Of course, this city is probably going to get taken, and this city might fall too. It's going to take a while for that to happen. So, with an income advantage of 3k, Panas needs to... He can no longer be passive, and indeed, he is going for it right now. He's going to charge up his covering fire. He moves in with his tanks, killing mostly infantry, but getting some power charge, getting a nice tank engagement, and boom! The covering fire gets activated, and it is pretty devastating, if I may say so myself. Grimm Guy has spread his units out pretty well prior to the covering fire, but those missiles are still doing an excellent job. And now Panas is really coming in hard here with his battlecopters. And that's a strong attack from Panas. It's looking pretty grim, no pun intended, for Grimm Guy right now. If you look at this, if you just entered this board right now and you just had a look at the players, you would probably think that Grimm Guy is losing, and I think that's a fair assessment. Just look at that monster push. But of course, there is one thing Grimm Guy has going for him, and that's the fact that he just activated Haymaker for 100% extra firepower. That is gonna hurt. And it hurts, ladies and gentlemen. Battlecopter comes in, look at the damage. Anti-air finishes off the battlecopter. In comes another battlecopter. It's a one-shot, ladies and gentlemen. Just enough to dislodge that tank. Oh my goodness. Grimm hits so hard during his superpower. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Is this not crazy? He fights back hard. Every counterattack delivered. Even the anti-air weakening the tank. Absolutely devastating counterattack from Grimm Guy. And what did I tell you guys? What did Grimm Guy do? He target fired the anti-air. There's an anti-air over here that can't really do much. The other anti-air is completely blocked off by forest tiles. And now we have a situation where there are 4 Grimm battlecopters in the center right here, and no anti-air to threaten them. There are some battlecopters here, but will they be able to reach? More battlecopters coming out of Grimm Guy. Panas needs anti-air, and he needs them now. But of course, he's gonna attack right here. He gets the battlecopter. It's a pretty scary attack here on the left flank. Grimm Guy needs to be careful. And here comes the counterattack. Grimm Guy's units are still pretty weak defensively. Of course, the anti-air isn't really able to do much. And the firepower boost doesn't matter when your units die before they counterattack. Day 17 rolls in, and if you notice right now, Panas almost has his covering fire ready, like he's almost halfway there, so those missiles are going to keep dropping every 3 or 4 turns at this rate, and every time they drop, it's just going to get worse for Grimm, so he needs to finish this. He cannot let this battle drag out. But here is that brawl I was talking about, this elongated brawl that Grimm Guy draws you into. Just look how much damage he's doing just with this day-to-day. Panas has his power ready again. That's how big of a beating he just took. Just look at the damage that Grimm Guy dealt this turn. So much damage. He didn't even use his powers. And now he's got 20 to 15 units. Of course, here comes another covering fire. I really wish Advanced Source Spy would add an animation to this power at some point. And it deals some damage, but it doesn't hit here, which is where it really needed to hit, in my opinion. But man, these players are just beating the hell out of each other right now. But Grimm Guy just seems to come ever so slightly out on top. Takes out another anti-air. Cleans up some stragglers. Moves his units back for repairs. And it's day 19. Panas is behind in terms of unit count, and he is 2k behind on income, but he continues to charge in here with his army. Now, Grimm Guy is probably going to interrupt that. I don't really know why Panas did that. Maybe he wanted the Spartacopter to not go north. But Grimm Guy just brings his tank back, and this is not good for Panas right now. He is getting absolutely beaten up. Day 20 rolls in, and Panas resigns. So yeah, he just isn't able to keep up the brawl. It's going to take too long for the next covering fire. Grimm Guy will have his Haymaker ready next turn. I get the resign. It's not. I don't think he's going to be able to pull this one out. So that was a remarkably amazing Grimm Guy game, if I may say so myself. That was really fun. Just watching him like just tank the missile and just come back with a counterattack. Boom! And then just like slowly beat his opponent into a pulp. It's remarkable to see how Grimm Guy just dismantles his opponents over longer periods of time. He doesn't win in like one giant push. He beats them up in just like this delayed brawl that just goes on forever. Really cool to watch. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. My name is Mangs. Bye-bye.